feel he performed?
Oh, I think he played well. And there was a couple decisions he had to make once he was forced away from the pocket and made some really nice throws in the red zone, very accurate. Here's one here, he rolls out now. Watch. Yellow's going to tell you that basically, you know what, it could be a dangerous throw. Green is, he's open. Watch him wait it out. But what I like, he squared his shoulders up and made a nice throw. Bought time coming outside the pocket, you know, and look downfield here again. We got a free runner. He didn't panic. He knows the back's going to pick him up. Four-man rush. He's looking downfield and watch. He squares his shoulders up again. I mean, and this is the part. He looks down the field, finds a little window, threads it right in there. So that right there for a rookie quarterback.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had Shedeur Sanders circled as the storyline coming out of Browns-Panthers preseason. This kid was supposed to be the quiet fourth option, QB4, the guy you maybe toss in for a few garbage time snaps just to see how he handles the speed. The guy whose name gets mentioned in roster cut speculation, not in starting quarterback debates. But in the span of one Friday night under the lights, that whole narrative got blown to pieces. Let's be real here. A week ago, Cleveland media barely even said his name. The chatter was all about Kenny Pickett's hamstring recovery, Dylan Gabriel's shot at climbing the depth chart, and whether the Browns were going to keep Joe Flacco around for veteran stability. Shedeur, he was just the fifth-round rookie, an intriguing project at best. And then against Carolina, he stepped onto that field and made sure the entire NFL took notice. 14 completions on 23 attempts, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. On paper, yeah, those are nice preseason stats. But if you just look at the box score, you're missing the entire vibe of what went down. Because this wasn't about numbers. This was about presence, about command, about walking into an NFL huddle as the lowest man on the depth chart and playing like you owned the place. From the first drive, he looked different. He wasn't flinching under pressure. He wasn't rushing through progressions. He was standing in, reading defenses, and delivering strikes with the kind of shoulder-square accuracy Herm Edwards just called pretty impressive for a rookie. And this is the part that gets me. He made those throws when it mattered most. In the red zone, under pressure. In situations where rookies usually blink, he blinked never. And don't tell me this was just another preseason game. You could feel it in the way the Browns' sideline reacted after that second touchdown. A dart into a tight window like he'd been doing it for years. You could feel it in the way the Panthers' defense started looking over at each other like, who is this kid? Shedeur Sanders didn't just have a good night. He shifted the temperature of the quarterback room. One game ago, the Browns' QB depth chart was set in stone. Now we've got cracks in the foundation. Now we've got a fan base asking questions the coaches didn't plan on answering yet. And here's the thing, these moments don't happen by accident. You don't go from afterthought to headline by chance. Something flipped Friday night, and Cleveland might have just seen the spark that starts a fire. Because make no mistake, this wasn't supposed to happen yet. But now that it has, the Browns can't unsee it. And the rest of the NFL, they can't unhear the noise. You want to know what separates the good ones from the great ones. It's not just arm strength. It's not just footwork. It's not even the ability to make the right read under pressure. The real separator is mentality. And with Shedeur Sanders, we just got a front row seat to what I'm calling the Sanders standard. After lighting up the Panthers for 2 touchdowns, after putting together one of the cleanest preseason debuts you could ask for, Shedeur didn't walk into the post-game press conference grinning ear to ear, patting himself on the back. No, he looked straight at the cameras and called it subpar. Subpar. That's not false humility. That's not a rookie trying to say the right things. That's a competitor telling you exactly how his mind works. He doesn't measure himself by the scoreboard, or by stat lines, or by whether Twitter was blowing up with his highlights. He measures himself against perfection. And perfection is never satisfied. We've seen this before. It's that Jordan mentality, that Kobe mentality. You drop 30 points and then stay in the gym because you missed 3 free throws. In the NFL, it's the Brady mindset. It's Jalen Hurts walking off the field after an MVP-level game, talking about plays I want back. Those are the guys who last. Those are the guys who build careers, not just moments. And here's the part that gets me. Herm Edwards, a man who's coached in the league, played in the league, seen every type of quarterback come and go, called Shedeur's performance pretty impressive. That's high praise from someone who doesn't hand out compliments for free. But even with that validation, Sanders isn't sitting there soaking it in. He's already thinking about what's next, about the plays that didn't go the way he wanted, about the throws that were a tick late, about the reads he could have sped up. That's the Sanders standard. The gap between what the rest of us see and what he demands of himself. This isn't just about mechanics or raw talent. This is about identity. It's about how you approach every snap, every rep, every film session. And if you're building a quarterback for the long haul, you'd rather have a guy who's too hard on himself than one who's content after one good night. Because here's the truth. If Shedeur Sanders can take this kind of performance, on this kind of stage, and still walk away thinking I need to be better, then every single person in that Browns locker room knows he's not chasing a preseason highlight reel. He's chasing something bigger. And that's why the outside noise, the critics, the doubters, the people who had him buried on the depth chart, is about to make this story even more dangerous for the rest of the league. Let's be real. A month ago, most of the NFL world had Shedeur Sanders boxed in, labeled, and already filed away as developmental depth. The whispers started in camp, when that arm soreness flared up. Reporters tweeted about him sitting out team drills. And suddenly the talking heads had their storyline. Durability concerns. You could hear it in the way they talked. Can his body handle the grind? Will the hits pile up before he even gets a chance to prove himself? And in Cleveland, that kind of doubt is nothing new. This city has been burned too many times by quarterback dreams that never materialized. The Browns have a history, and not the good kind. A carousel of QBs, from first-round franchise saviors to journeymen just passing through. That scar tissue makes fans cautious, and it makes the media downright cynical. So when Shedeur came in as a fifth-round pick, buried at QB4 behind Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco, the narrative was already written. Camp arm, maybe practice squad, definitely not a real threat in the depth chart conversation. Then the injuries hit. Pickett's hamstring, Gabriel's hamstring, Tyler Huntley not fully up to speed. Suddenly the door cracked open, but here's the thing about the NFL. Opportunity doesn't care who you are. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. And when it comes, you either kick it off the hinges, or you watch it close forever. Shedeur didn't just walk through that door. He broke the lock. 2 touchdowns, 138 yards, 14 completions on 23 attempts. More importantly, poise, pocket presence. Reading the field like he'd been in Stefanski's system for years. Every time the Panthers sent pressure, he stood tall, trusted his protection, and delivered. That's the kind of stuff you can't fake. The kind of stuff that makes coaches take a second look at the depth chart and start thinking about scenarios they weren't planning on. And that's what makes this so dangerous for the Browns quarterback room, because now, every practice rep matters. Every throw in joint practices with the Eagles is going to be dissected. Every snap in preseason is political. The veterans know it. The coaching staff knows it. Shedeur knows it. This is exactly how young quarterbacks in NFL history have forced their way into the conversation earlier than expected. Think Dak Prescott in 2016. Think Russell Wilson in 2012. Neither was supposed to start. Both refused to give the job back once they got their shot. That's the vibe in Cleveland right now. This isn't just about one good game. This is about a rookie rewriting his own scouting report in real time and making the guys ahead of him feel that heat. Because in the NFL, momentum is a weapon. And right now, Shedeur Sanders has it in his hands. One preseason game can change the conversation, but it doesn't crown a career. That's the reality in the NFL. You can light up the scoreboard in August, you can trend on Twitter for 48 hours, but if you can't stack performances week after week, the league will move on without blinking. And right now, that's the challenge in front of Shedeur Sanders. The Panthers game put him on the map. It flipped the depth chart conversation upside down. But defenses adjust fast in this league. The moment you show your hand, coordinators start watching tape, figuring out tendencies, looking for weaknesses. That's why the next few weeks are critical. Because if Sanders wants to turn this flash of hype into something lasting, he's got to make it a habit. And the perfect proving ground is coming. Joint practices with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're talking about one of the nastiest defensive fronts in football. A team that doesn't care about your draft slot or your buzz. They'll come at you from every angle, disguise coverages, try to bait you into mistakes. If Sanders can show the same poise, the same command, against that kind of competition, that's when the hype starts hardening into belief. But here's the thing. It's not just about what he does with the ball in his hands. Leadership matters. Culture matters. And when Sanders said after the game that the locker room felt like family, it wasn't just a throwaway line. That's the kind of energy that resonates. Veterans hear that. Young guys hear that. In a league where quarterback rooms can get icy and political real quick, that kind of vibe can shift the whole building. Swagger's a great start, but swagger without sustained performance is just noise. We've seen young QBs burst out of the gate, only to fade once the league caught up. Sanders has to keep showing that he's not just a moment, he's a movement. It's about stacking good days, building trust with the coaching staff, and proving that this level of play isn't a one-off, it's who he is. If he can do that, if this energy becomes the norm, then the Browns' long, painful QB search might be over before it even really begins this season. And that's the thing about the NFL. You don't get to control how the opportunity comes, but you do control what you do with it when it's yours. So here we are. The dust hasn't even settled on preseason chatter, and yet one question is echoing through Cleveland, louder than the dog pound on third down. Is this the guy we've been waiting for? You feel it. I feel it. Browns fans, you've lived this carousel for decades. The names have changed. The jerseys have been burnt. The hope has been built up and smashed down more times than you can count. But when Shedeur Sanders stepped onto that field, something was different. This wasn't desperation hope. This was a spark that felt real. Close your eyes and picture it. It's December. The air's freezing.
your breath's clouding up in the stands. The AFC playoff race is tight, and under center for the Cleveland Browns, not a stopgap, not a maybe next year project. No, it's Shedeur Sanders, commanding the huddle, running the offense like he owns it. Imagine the chaos in the stands after a game-winning drive. Imagine the media spin. We knew it was in him all along, from the same voices that didn't even list him in the QB battle 2 months ago. That's the thing about moments like this. They can change everything, but only if you grab them with both hands and refuse to let go. And that's exactly what Sanders is doing right now. He's not playing like a guy auditioning for the roster. He's playing like a guy auditioning to rewrite the entire history of this franchise's quarterback position. Think about it. How many times has Cleveland had the talent on defense, the weapons on offense, but the missing piece was always under center? How many seasons ended with, if only we had the quarterback? Well, what if this is the season where that question finally gets answered? But here's the kicker. It's not just about the Browns' future. It's about the NFL finally having to acknowledge that no politics, no draft bias, no preseason pecking order can hold back real talent when it refuses to be ignored. If Sanders thrives, every single rep he takes becomes a statement, not just to the Browns but to the league. So buckle up. This isn't just a quarterback battle anymore. This is a fight to redefine what the Browns are and who they can be for the next decade. And I'm telling you right now, I'll be here for every throw, every snap, every headline, because this feels like the start of something that Cleveland fans have been dreaming about for years. And if Shedeur Sanders is truly that guy, then the rest of the league has no idea what's about to hit them.